yourself so we can all hear. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. I know that I know many of you, but my name is Hannah Providenti, and I'm the programs coordinator at GiGi's NYC. So I work on planning our programming and special events and developing our relationships with community partners. And I'm so thrilled and honored to be working with Linda and Grace Strobel. You might know my brother, Troy, who's a longtime GiGi participant. He's on the call tonight. Hi, Troy. So just to tell you a little bit about what we'll be doing this evening, we'll begin the evening with a short video that we think provides some really important context for the evening and really highlights Grace's career. And then Malik, our GiGi's NYC 2021 ambassador, will interview Grace. And then Frank Sawyer, a member of our board of directors, will interview Grace's mother, Linda. And then there will be an opportunity to ask Linda questions. And then we'll conclude the evening. So we have a lot of exciting things planned. And thank you all again for being here tonight. And so let's get started. So I'm going to show you a video that was produced by Inspired Exclusive. And it really highlights some of Grace's major accomplishments and just some wonderful things that we would like you all to know about Grace before we really dive into the interview. So I'm going to begin the video now. So enjoy, and please make sure that you're on mute so that we can all hear the video clearly.
With her sweet and shining smile, this 24-year-old model with Down syndrome is sending a positive message to the world.
Hi, I'm Grace Strobel, and I'm 24 years old, but I'm a model, I'm a speaker, I'm an athlete, I'm an advocate.
2 years ago, Grace Strobel began her career as a model, and it's had a greater impact than her family could have imagined.
When Grace was born, she was born to kind of an unwelcoming world. They said that she had Down syndrome and that she would never read, she would never write, she would never tie her own shoes, that she would live with us the rest of her life, that she would be overweight. What it was like as if all the joy had been sucked out of the world.
It was a dark time for the parents, but as a mother, Linda wanted to do her best for her child.
But in my heart, I knew that I was going to try to do everything I possibly could to help her have a much different life, a better life, to bring out everything that she had as a gift and a talent. I do think that God was preparing us along the way for what was to come.
It's been her parents' determination and belief that have helped Grace easily integrate into life.
We knew that she was going to have struggles. We knew she was going to learn differently, but we didn't treat her as special. She had to go out in public and behave, and she had to have good manners.
Through hard work, perseverance, and overcoming obstacles, Grace has developed an incredible sense of confidence and belief in herself.
Our whole idea was for her to feel like she belonged, and that if she had a goal, she would work hard and achieve it.
Happy, cheerful, and positive are the words that have been used to describe Grace. Her parents have laid a good foundation for Grace to lead an independent life. But things have not always been easy.
About 2 years ago, I was working in a lunchroom. Some kids started making fun of me when they taught me that day. I felt alone and hated, but I cried so hard, but I can't stop, and then I died inside.
Linda saw the need to not only help Grace overcome and learn from this negative experience, but to help people in the community gain a better understanding of people with disabilities. Grace and Linda began giving presentations at schools about what it's like to live with a disability. They called it the Grace Effect.
No matter who you are, we want all the same things: to be valued, to be respected, and to feel good about ourselves.
It was while searching the internet for information to help with their presentations that Grace and Linda discovered photos of a model with Down syndrome.
she asked me, "Hey, Mom,
Oh, yeah.
can I be a model?" And I said, "I don't see why not." And so that's when we started into the modeling.
And the results were unexpected. In August 2018, Grace's first photos were posted on Facebook. Within the first 2 weeks, they had over 200,000 shares.
We were asked locally by almost every magazine to hear her story, and all the news channels covered her. And then one of the largest public, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, ran a story on her. And then from there, the Today Show contacted her.
This year, Grace was invited to participate in a campaign by Aliva, a women's clothing brand inspired by artistic expressions of people with developmental disabilities. Grace's beautiful and radiant photos are spreading across America, bringing a breath of fresh air to the modeling world.
You know, I do believe that she's part of changing the landscape for people with disabilities, because our whole goal in the speaking was to have people with disabilities respected and valued.
Grace and her family are working hard to not only achieve their dreams, but to give the world a different perspective on people with disabilities. The family's compassion, fortitude, and faith in God have helped them get to where they are today.
Without faith, I would be very lost, because our faith teaches that every life has value. I have learned to trust, but I've always prayed that Grace's gifts and talents and her light shine to the world, and that's really what's happening. And I do think that God is using her in a special way to help others to believe in themselves, to make change, and to bring down fears and break down barriers of people with disabilities. And I think that's why she's been put on this earth.
So I hope that you all enjoyed that video. I know I'm so inspired by Grace and Linda. So now I'm going to introduce Yamira Sue, who is our co-president of the board of directors, to introduce Grace, and Malik, who is going to be interviewing Grace. So Yamira.
Great. Thank you, Hannah, so much. And once again, thank you everyone for joining us tonight, and of course to Grace and Linda. So good evening. As Hannah mentioned, my name is Yamira Sue, and I am the co-president of GiGi's NYC Board of Directors. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, we welcome Grace and her mother, as I mentioned. At the age of 24, Grace has quite a resume. Would you agree? She's an accomplished public speaker, a passionate Down syndrome advocate. She moves audiences with her story. Just 2 years ago, she decided she wanted to become a model. Now she is represented by 3, not 2, not 1, but 3 modeling agencies, and is the new face for Obagi Skincare. And as Grace has Down syndrome, Grace's mission is to continue, through her modeling, advocacy, and public speaking, the campaign of acceptance and illumination of the gifts and talents of all people. She has graced the Today Show with her appearance, Forbes magazine, and Lady Gaga's Chanel Kindness, with featured articles, and of course, everyone knows Louis Vuitton as a guest panelist. Grace is also the first American model with Down syndrome to represent a skincare line and its products. GiGi's NYC is so thrilled to welcome Grace Strobel. I would also like to briefly introduce my son, Malik. As you all know, everyone I think knows Malik. As Hannah mentioned, Malik is GiGi's NYC ambassador and has been part of the Playhouse since 2012, when he was only 8 years old. He is now 16, believe it or not, and a junior in high school. He is the youngest of 4 children. I have 4 children, and is a native New Yorker who loves to run and participate in marathons across the city. So I thank you, and Malik, take it away.
Thanks, Mom. So my first question is, what promote you to become a public speaker?
Oh, about 2 years ago, I was working in the lunchroom. Some kids started making fun of me when they laughed at me that day. I felt alone and hated, but I cried so hard, but I cannot stop. And that is when I decided I wanted to make a difference. Now I want to share with students what it's like to have struggles. And I wanted to show how you can change someone's life just by being kind and giving respect.
Great, that's nice.
Awesome.
Next, Hannah.
Can you see the next question, Malik?
No, if you want to, you can go. I know. That's what I said. That's what. Oh, sorry. So, what is your favorite part of public speaking?
Oh, my favorite part is the role playing because it teaches the kids about struggles.
That's nice. Next question. How did you get into the modeling and why?
Oh, when I was researching to make the greatest effect, I saw an article with Down syndrome that was a model. So I asked my mom if I could be a model. She said, "Oh, see, why not?" So let's do this, Grace. So we started our amazing journey. That from here today.
That's cool.
Uh-huh.
How does it feel to be a role model?
Oh, it feels awesome. I think my modeling and speaking show it is possible, and it helps others to believe in themselves.
That's nice. Also, my model is Jado. Our next, yeah, thank you. So this is our last question.
Uh-huh.
So my question for number 5, question is, what would you like to do in the future?
Oh, I want to keep on modeling and speaking and help people rethink what is possible.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
So that's it for today,
Uh-huh.
and I hope we will. I mean, I will walk down in the real carpet if you want.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you for your time.
so much, Malik, for asking Grace these wonderful questions. And Grace, thank you so much for your insight and your excellent responses. We're so, so thrilled that you're here. So
Oh, yeah.
now, thank you, Grace. So now we're going to introduce Linda, Grace's mom. So I'm going to invite Frank Sawyer, who is a member of our board of directors, to introduce Linda, and then he will interview Linda.
Hey, Beth, I am in.
Excellent. Okay, thanks very much, Hannah. We really appreciate you putting this together with Rosella, and so honored to have Grace and Linda here. So first of all, a few things about Linda. Linda says she's been a lifelong advocate, passionate about elevating empathy and respect for people with disabilities. After her first child, Grace, was born with Down syndrome, her energies went on hyperdrive to help Grace reach her fullest potential. She has served as founding secretary and vice president of Friends of Trisomy 21 Research, her first nonprofit dedicated to initiating research for individuals with Down syndrome. Then she was a branch manager and parent trainer for the National Academy of Child Development, parent rep for International Nutrition Inc., and co-author of the #The Grace Effect presentation. and she spearheaded a college program for people with disabilities in the St. Louis area, which is where they reside. Linda is inspired daily by her husband, Jeff, and their two daughters, Grace and Lane. In her free time, Linda likes to run, hike, and spend time with friends. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Linda Strobel.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet here. We're honored that you asked us to be here, and Grace and I are.
Oh, yeah.
We're just happy to be with you all.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
And actually, we watched your virtual caroling, and we thought that was pretty awesome.
Uh-huh.
We liked it.
There are a number of people here on the call who were part of that virtual caroling concert.
It was awesome.
I know, it was so awesome.
Yeah.
I know, I love it.
Glad you liked it.
It was terrific. It was so great. So Linda, welcome. We really appreciate you being here. So how did you and your husband first find out about Grace? And when you received the news, what was your reaction?
So I had an abnormal AFP at 16 weeks, and we decided not to go ahead and do the amnio because we would not have changed the pregnancy anyway. But my whole pregnancy, I kind of just, was wondering, did, Grace have Down syndrome or not? And so when the geneticist called, or actually my OBGYN called, she just said, Linda, I have some news for you. You need to sit down. And she said, you have a 1 in 16 chance of having a baby with Down syndrome. And this was my first child, and nobody in my family or my husband's family had ever had anybody with a disability. And so, I felt like I got sucker punched. I was like, wow. When I was younger, I had worked as a camp counselor for all my high school years at a summer camp with disabilities, children with disabilities. And for some reason, I had this very strong attraction to people with Down syndrome. And this was before the time of the internet, I would run home and I would ask my mom to take me to the library, and I'd check out all these books on Down syndrome. And I do think that, life has a way of preparing you. So, right after she popped out, that was my very first question. Does she have Down syndrome? And yeah, the atmosphere was very cold and sterile, and my OB didn't even come in, and check on me the day after to say, congratulations. She really thought that I should have made a different choice. And so, we had no idea where all this was going, and I was afraid. I knew what Down syndrome meant 30 years ago, and what Down syndrome means now is very different. So I was shocked, and but I knew I had to move through that shock. So, I just knew I was going to have to do everything I could to make her life better.
Frank, I think that you're muted, Frank.
Very much, Hannah. I appreciate it. Thank you. No, we appreciate that, Linda, and we've heard similar stories. So times are changing, and we're all trying to make a difference. So thank you for being here and contributing to that. So as far as the second question, Hannah, that would be, how did you work with your daughter's diagnosis as opposed to simply Down syndrome? How did you work on the different attributes of that diagnosis?
So after she was born, I just kind of dove into research, and I didn't really want to list. Everything that I was given was so terribly outdated. And when I was looking at my daughter, I didn't see what I was seeing in the books. And so I decided to not look at it like an accumulation of things. The geneticists were throwing around terms when Grace, was born, if I couldn't handle this, there were still adoptions and institutions. And I was like, no. And I'm not going to look at this like this is just this ball of a syndrome and there's nothing you can do. So I think that our biggest success was that we didn't look at like as an accumulation. We looked at diet, we looked at thyroid treatment, we looked at exercise, sleep health, you know, supplements. The thyroid was a big deal because 24 years ago, people weren't looking at thyroid for people with Down syndrome, and thyroid controls so much. So I was sharing with Frank earlier that it took me 4 or 5 different doctors, and I physically had to go out of state to get Grace's thyroid treated. It was, no, she belongs on a Down syndrome growth chart, and there was nothing wrong. And once I did put her on thyroid, prior to that, she had stopped growing for a year. And I put her on thyroid and she grew 6 inches in 4 months. So I knew that there was something more to this. So really, you know, this was all exploratory for me, but I knew that there was more that we could do than just take them home and love them. And so I think I found early on that I had to have a mindset that I wasn't just going to take what was given, and that I wasn't just going to believe low expectations, that we were going to kind of have to go outside and find our own path. And, you know, I do think that intentions are big, and we had no idea how Grace's story would end up, but we just kept in our forefront that we wanted something better than low expectations, because, you know, if you put the bar up, you can always meet it. But if you go up high and you only even get 60%, look how much more that you have achievable in a lifetime. So I think, and even to this day, that's how I work with Grace's diagnosis. I never see like, we can't do this. We try it, and we make bridges to get there, and we don't accept no for an answer. Now, Grace is not going to be, you know, a neurosurgeon, but Grace and everybody has gifts and talents to bring to the world, and we just tapped into ours. And I fully believe that we all have gifts to bring to the world.
That's wonderful, Linda. You're right in line with our mission, certainly, with the way that our community has grown and has so many different attributes to share with the world, right?
Yeah.
So we're very blessed with that.
Yeah.
And then I have another question for you regarding, can you share with us, because your daughter's a model, she is a public speaker, she does all these exciting things, but can you share a little bit with us about her work ethic and how hard she works?
Yeah. You know, she's an incredibly hard worker, and it didn't happen overnight. I do believe that it happened, you know, from a very young age. When she was born, there were no answers. And so I do, like in the video, I knew that she was going to learn differently. I knew she was going to struggle and have challenges. But what I kind of did is looked at it like the Olympics. If I wanted a different kind of result, I was going to have to work a little differently. And so we just kind of, you know, buckled in and did everything we could possible to bring out her potential. You know, we surrounded her with lots of neurotypical opportunities, and you know, I just think that, you know, not giving up and not automatically thinking your child is not going to be able to do something is a way to have you keep moving forward. And so many times we would move forward 5 steps and backwards, you know, 4. And but I always kept in my mind where we were going. And I always wanted her to be a valuable part of society. I wanted whatever she had to bring to the world to shine. And I kept that in my forefront. So I just think that, not taking what the world has to give your child for prognosis was a blessing for me, because I'm a person that will, if you tell me I can't do something, I will find a way how to do it. And so when you don't buy into expectations, you kind of have to do your own. But I always wanted, I always had Grace working harder. She had to work harder than her sister. She had to, have good behavior when we went out. I didn't make excuses that she had Down syndrome. She just was Grace. She wasn't Down syndrome Grace. She was Grace. And this was, she was part of our family. And we just knew that our expectations for Grace were going to be, we were bringing out everything that she had possible.
Right, right. Well, that's really in line also with how we at GiGi's NYC behave. As you'll see, we have a lot of people that are our participants with Down syndrome in our programs, and we also have their families. And really, our families work so hard. As inspired as I am by our individuals with Down syndrome, I'm equally as inspired by their families, right? Who work so hard to bring out the best in their children. And it's not about what they should be, but it's about what they can be, right? From our perspective, and really understand their potential and working so hard for that. So thank you for illuminating, Grace's story with that how hard she worked. It's not just 2 years ago, she said, I believe to you, I'd like to be a model. And you said to her, you can do anything, right?
Right.
Within a few years, you had her with 3 modeling agencies, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And, so it's a real credit to her hard work, and we appreciate that greatly. Now, as far as the 4th question goes, you're a parent and you have your wishes for your daughter. What goes through your mind when you see her getting up in public speaking, when you see her modeling? It's like, how do you feel as a parent,
Yeah, it's exhilarating. I will tell you, because when you know the backstory, what has happened since sometimes takes my breath away, because, I didn't, I knew that we had talents, but I didn't know that it would go like this. Nobody knows what their journey was. Because really, Grace was not a wonder girl when she was born. She has struggles. She at the age of 5, she developed a stutter. And prior to that, she was saying like 4 to 5 words. And then she started stuttering and she dropped down to 1 word. And she only spoke 1 word for probably until she was 8, because she only wanted to speak in order to be fluent. So, Grace struggles with the very same things that, a lot of people with Down syndrome do. She, has balance issues, and language and expression were always a struggle for us. But I do think that I have an example to share with you. When we were preparing, this was about 2.5 years ago, when Grace first started public speaking, we prepared her. We actually took 2 months to research everything that we could about Down syndrome. We learned about the chromosomes. We learned about why people with Down syndrome look similar and what chromosomes do in the body, because I really wanted Grace to understand everything she could. I did not want her to be a mouthpiece. I wanted her to understand, when she was giving these presentations to the schools, why do I look different? Why do people, treat me differently? Why do I struggle like I do? So we literally studied for 4 or 5 days, like for 2 months, everything we possibly could about that. And then after that, we took another 6 to 7 months to put the presentation together. And Grace was not a natural public speaker. I told you, she stuttered. She had a really hard time with eye contact. she went too fast, she went too slow, she would sing song, you name it. But what we ended up doing is just isolating one challenge at a time. And once we got that, then we would move on to another one. And we were practicing, at schools, we were practicing in our basement, we were practicing at my husband's work. There was just a lot that went into her very first presentation. And we did a presentation for a fundraiser for LuMind in Chicago. And we had practiced that one for probably 2 months or more prior to it. And I told everybody, if I heard that presentation one more time, that I was ready to throw it out the window. I'd heard it so many times. And so Grace was so well prepared. We go up to Chicago, we check in early. We get up on stage, we practice. We went back to the hotel and got ready. And then we had some dinner. And so we get into the restaurant, and the restaurant is just overloaded with people. And Grace has sound sensitivity. So she just shut down and doesn't want to eat. So I'm like, oh, we've got 2 hours and she's not going to eat dinner. So she ate. We drive to the auction, and we get in there and the band is playing, and then she refuses to go in because it's too loud. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And so we ended up putting earplugs in and taking her through the bar and into the bathroom, where she and I sat for like 20 minutes in the stall until she could, collect herself. We went through it. The band stopped. We walked out. She got on stage, and man, she nailed it. So, that whole time I was just sitting there praying that it goes well.
Mhm.
But like I said, now that I see her, and she speaks to kids from the heart, and she tells them about her story, and she tells them what it's like to be, not included or laughed at. And I think it's such a big story because it comes from her and not from me. But what goes into that was not just, Grace had it easy. Grace worked really, really hard to get where she did, and she still struggles, but we find ways to make her successful.
That's great. And yeah, that's with our families as well. And another similarity. You really feel like we feel like you're part of the New York City family. Just,
Good, I do too.
I want to say welcome. And do you want to share with us the response you had? This kind of off script, but I think it's fine. It's the response you had when you saw our video, How People with Down Syndrome Learn, which was produced by one of our board members, Liza Geller. And when you saw that, how people responded, what was your response to that when you watched that video?
Yeah, Grace and I watched it together, and I actually had tears in my eyes because it was everything we had worked on our whole life. I love the part also of give me a chance, like when we ask questions, I always wait because there's always that little bit of a delay. And I think like my daughter, for example, will always try to answer quickly. And when you give her the chance to respond, then she can process and get the right answer. I loved that video, and I just thought it was just so well done and professionally done, and hit all the areas that we have done for 24 years. So
that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, because we're really proud of Liza in that video. Liza's been on the board for a few years, and she was one of our very first volunteers when it was in New York about 8 years ago. So
very nice.
we're really happy to have her as part of the family as well. So when you think about Grace's future, right? When you think about what can she do, what might her future look like, what thoughts cross your mind?
You know what? I just want her to keep elevating empathy and understanding. I think she is a voice to unheard voices. We started all of this because she was hurt and because she was made fun of. And when we came home and I was talking to her about, I said, you know, Grace, sometimes people are afraid of what they don't understand. And I said, maybe we can help them understand. Because at the time when she's being made fun of, and actually she was being made fun of about struggling to open up some fruit cups and milk cartons. And some kids were kind of lining up and just standing there watching her open those, and they wanted their fruit cups to be opened by her. And when I saw what was happening, I said, hey, can I help? And they were like, no, we want her to help. And I was like, oh, why do you want her to help? And they said, because we know that she can't. And then they started laughing, and Grace just died. Her face went white, and she just broke down and cried. And, you know, I said, please go, you know, go collect yourself in the kitchen. And I was really shocked at first as a parent, but, you know, after 24 years, you expect these things. But at this point, I was more shocked. I was like, wow, these kids don't understand. They don't understand the challenges of fine motor skills and gross motor skills and language and processing. And so I asked them, hey, I said, would you laugh at somebody in a wheelchair? And they were like, no, we wouldn't. And I said, well, what Grace was doing was very difficult. And I said, you know, maybe we should have a conversation about this. And so that's when we really started to make our decision to educate people. And I said, you know, maybe Grace, we can help them understand. Let them understand, what is it like to have poor balance and vision problems and, you know, language difficulties. Not that they should feel pity, but that they should connect with some understanding of why does she do the things that she does. And, you know, once we started into that, and it just kind of took off, because this was Grace's story, and she was sharing with her peers and younger, you know, what does it feel like to be misunderstood? And what does it feel like to have challenges and people make fun of you, but sometimes you don't even have the words to defend yourself. So I think I want her to keep bringing respect to people with disabilities and open the doors to new opportunities and perceptions about what is possible. I mean, like I said, Grace was not born as a wonder girl, but there are so many role models out there now, not just Grace, but, you know, everybody knows Chris Nickick, but, you know, well, we grew up with Karen Gaffney, who swam the English Channel and, you know, earned her honorary doctorate. And, you know, there's actors and models and speakers and swimmers and gymnasts. We are redefining what it means to have Down syndrome. And it's not a death sentence. They can lead full, happy lives with friends and purpose and meaning. And I want her to be part of that landscape of part of that picture of changing the landscape for people with disabilities, that there is incredible talent, there's incredible opportunity and potential, and let's start looking differently at, and through exposure we can create change. So
Absolutely.
That's what I hope for her.
That's wonderful. Yeah, as part of our research, we were looking at the different talks that Grace gave, and it was awesome to see how those individuals that she went to school with, they were kind of talking at the beginning of the presentation, then they were rapt, they started listening really to what she was saying. By the end, they were changed. They really understood things differently. So our observation with our community as well is that we can change the world, right? By the way people learn, by the way they behave. And thank you so much for the work that you're doing to promote that. And for people with the Down syndrome is a real gift. And we're all better for having someone with Down syndrome in our lives, you know. So thank you so much for this time together, for answering these questions you and I have talked about. And now if we could, if anyone has any other questions for Linda, if they could type them into our chat room, that would be awesome. And then Hannah will moderate the questions and ask Linda questions we're encountering. And we have a good 15 minutes or so, a few more minutes. So please ask any questions you would like, because it's, once again, it's an honor to have you here and to learn from you and to find our similarities from the Midwest to New York City. It's really awesome. So.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you so much, Linda. So as Frank said, you can type questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand via the Zoom function, or you can physically raise your hand, whatever is easiest for you. Oh, I do see that Victoria has a question. So Victoria, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, hi, I have a question for Linda and Grace. Hi Grace, I'm Victoria. I want to know how you got interested in modeling.
When, like Grace was, when she was talking about, when she was researching to make the Grace effect, she came across another girl with Down syndrome. Yeah, and that was Madeline Stewart. And she looked at Madeline and she looked at me and she's like, Mom, could I try that too? And I said, yeah, sure. Why don't you? Yeah, let's do it. So you know, another role model, you know, breaking barriers, seeing what is possible out there.
So inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Now I have a question for Linda. So you were talking a lot about Grace and her potential. What do you think that she still has to learn?
Well, I hope to the day that Grace dies, that she and I both, we are constant learners. So we're always learning about new things. We just learned about the nervous system. We are learning about, what else did we're doing nutrition. I think our whole lives will be learning and growing. I would love for Grace, and Grace wants to too, would love to have a boyfriend and get married one day. Yeah. You know, I think that we will always keep learning, not only socially, but emotionally. And I think just the learning about and stimulating our brains in any way that we can to learn about new things all the time.
Nice. I could help her talk about boys.
What's that?
I could help her talk about boys.
You could help with the boys?
Yes.
That'd be great.
Thank you, Victoria.
You're welcome. It's really nice to meet you, Grace and Linda.
You too.
You too. You too.
You too. Hope we can be friends.
I know. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. So we have a question now in the chat from Esther. What can you say about living independently, having a job or volunteer work, etc.? How does that look over in St. Louis?
Okay. So do you want to tell them where you work right now?
Oh, I work in a school. It's called St. Avonbow School.
And where do you work? You work in the office?
I work in the office. And I work in the lunchroom.
You also
read. I read to the little kids.
So, and Grace has started even from a young age, learning how to cook and clean. And do you want to tell them some of the things that you like to cook?
Oh yeah, I love to cook is shepherd's pie.
Shepherd's pie, yeah.
And then I cook chicken curry.
Chicken curry, yep.
Then we have lamb stew.
Lamb stew, yep. Do you like to bake too?
I do. I love to bake brownies, cookies. To bake banana bread.
So yeah, we've been working on independent skills since she's been young. So, you know, learning how to clean your sink, scrub your sink. And, you know, every week Grace, just like everybody else, I mean, like she changes, she changes her bed and her her sheets on Sunday and gets new towels, and you just do little things at a time until you keep adding in. So the whole goal is for Grace to be independent, living on her own, you know, with her husband. And so, you know, you just learn all those independent skills, from cleaning to cooking to what do you do in your what do you do in your downtime to keep busy, you know? So St. Louis, I think, is, I don't know what it's like in other areas, but you know, there are programs that help people with disabilities transition into adulthood and independence or assisted independence.
Oh yeah,
Thank you so much.
I love it.
So our next question is from Charlotte. Charlotte,
Oh, God.
are you ready?
What do you? Hi.
You're smart.
Oh, you're. Yeah. Did you like meeting?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, we had
Yes.
such a great time. Such an honor to meet both of you. Thank you so much.
I love the dress room. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Oh, what did
I
you
love
love?
it.
Oh, Charlotte, what
the
did you love?
dress.
That dress,
The
right?
white dress.
That
I love
red
it.
dress. Oh,
Oh, the ball gown.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What did you feel like?
I was their princess.
Yeah.
is that what you felt? Oh my God, that must have been a heavy dress to
Yeah.
walk in, right?
What
A
is
lot
it?
of dress. Like,
Oh, what is your favorite color?
what is it? What is?
What is your favorite color?
Oh, what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is red.
Red.
Yeah.
I pink and purple.
Uh-huh.
Pink and purple. She likes pink and purple.
You're cool.
Purple. She's beautiful.
Thank you, Charlotte.
So are
Thank
you,
you.
though. Yeah.
So are you.
Thank you. And as a mom, what you said, I have to tell you, it was just the timing was perfect. So thank you. I mean, I know when we all talk, but just a fresh new face that we're talking to, it just makes you feel like, you know, again, you're not alone. We're all out there going through those same struggles the entire time.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. We
Sometimes
make
I
it
think they're more my struggles than hers. You know, I think
exactly.
I
Yeah.
hold it tight as if it happened yesterday, yet it happened 16 years ago, you know?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, and you know what? I would just really want to make it transparent that, you know, we had no idea how it would turn out, but you know, just to keep that hope and keep that dream and
Right,
working,
hope on.
going day after day after day, because it doesn't happen overnight. It happens in increments, you know?
yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes you don't see it. So it's good that you have to sit back and see all the amazing things our children do. So thank you very much. I won't hog you up, but thank you so much. It was
Oh, you're
wonderful.
welcome.
Thank you.
Oh,
So we have a question in the chat about what was the process like getting Grace into modeling? We have someone whose daughter is little and they're thinking about sending in photos of her.
okay.
So I don't know that ours is typical, but you know, when we did decide to do it, we just kind of did it in an unconventional way, which is usually me. We released it on Facebook, and because I literally, and you're very vulnerable because you don't know, you know, what's going to happen. But you know, fortunately for us, it went viral, and people, I will tell you,
Oh, yeah.
people are so supportive and cheering, you know, our kids on because they want them to succeed. And I just think, you know, whatever faith you are, I do believe that, you know, we were given a gift and doors were opened, and you know, a wonderful thing happened when it went viral for her, because that just brought out the awareness. I think now is a great time to get into modeling because the world is opening up to diversity. You know, we all think of diversity as skin color and maybe body shape, but there are doors opening and changes happening to have people with disabilities represented. So there are agencies out there that only represent people with disabilities. One of them is an agency called Runway of Dreams, Gamut, G-A-M-U-T. Gamut. If you would like to look them up and submit your, your son or daughter's pictures to see if they would like, if they could be signed. But I would say that getting out and getting onto social media and getting your face known, getting out there, just doing as much as you can is going to help. So that's pretty much how we did it. We, from social media kind of just launched her, and she, we had a backstory because Grace started, a year prior to that with speaking. But the social media really brought everything to the height and just propelled her to have opportunities, the doors open. But things are changing, and I'm thankful for that.
Thank you, Linda. So we have a question, Grace, for you. What is your favorite movie?
Wait, what's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is a book. And I love Griffith. I love Elf.
No,
I love
no.
Savage. Oh, I know. Kicking and Screaming.
Kicking and Screaming. So Elf and Kicking and Screaming. So she's a big Will Ferrell fan.
Like, when
Just
he
raise your hand and
says
do the reaction.
happy birthday, Will.
Raise a hand.
I don't know if you've seen Uncle Buck, but he's hilarious.
I know.
Thank you.
Will. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Great movies.
I know.
I
Yeah.
have a question.
Yes.
Another question for you, Grace. What is your favorite thing to do for fun on the weekend?
Oh, I love doing TikToks.
You like doing TikToks?
Yeah, with real.
Okay, well, a question or comment?
I love 16.
Mom, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace. I like doing TikToks too. I've seen some of your TikToks. They're awesome.
Yeah, very awesome. Yeah. Very
fun, huh?
Very fun.
So Malik, you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I have a comment. So I really like the presentation so far. It's one of my other comment. And I was like, oh my gosh, Grace, you look so beautiful. Like down in my heart. You still like you're so beautiful in your pictures, and I love you as a friend. But and again, I hope you do this again as a Gigi Playhouse, and you can show our participants how to model.
Thanks, Malik.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Uh-huh.
So I see a question. So when you posted those photos on Facebook initially, did you use a professional photographer?
We did. We hired a professional photographer, and if you go to do a professional shoot, do a lifestyle shoot, something that's kind of natural. We went to different locations.
Oh, yeah.
We went to like 5 different ones. And Grace, remember that? Grace was changing in the car, and and she was. Were you hungry all that day?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was changing in the car, and we were just like going from place to place to place, but they turned out really well. So I would not don't just go with like a portrait kind of. Try to find a photographer that's going to do lifestyle shots out and around, different locations to show personality, to show different looks and everything like that.
Thank you.
They follow each other on Instagram.
Victoria, do you have another question? Okay.
So Grace, I heard you wanted to learn how to cook.
Are you wondering how Grace learned how to cook?
Yes.
Good question. So Grace, how did you learn how to cook?
Oh yeah, I cook with my OT.
Her
Julie.
her OT, Julie. We learned just little by little. And we made her own cookbook so that we put very specific things on there, like, you know, find the like the red medium sized bowl, or we broke it down a little bit more. We had a list of things that the ingredients she would have to get, and the list of materials that she would need, you know, like bowls, or like the chopper or cutting board. So she has to get everything out first, and then she goes step by step through a recipe. And she used to not want to do things on the stove because she was worried, right? But now she's fine. She turns the stove on and off, and she's able to do it. It took about a year for her to feel comfortable with not feeling like she was going to burn herself, but she's learned how to cook, you know, on her own.
Wow.
Okay, so there's a cooking class in this plane that I'm gonna be teaching. How would you like if I taught Grace how to cook?
Thanks, Victoria. So for people who we haven't really announced it yet, but we're going to be starting a cooking program in the spring, and Victoria is going to help to lead it. So I think, Victoria, you're inviting Grace and Linda to, of course, join. And maybe, Grace, if you want to teach a lesson, you know, I know you mentioned curry chicken or shepherd's pie. So that's something that we can talk about down the road. But before we wrap up, I want to give Owen a chance to ask a question, and Aaliyah. I know, Owen, you've been raising your hand for so long, so let's hear from Owen.
Do you have Instagram?
So Owen, on the next slide here, you can see Grace's Instagram. Is that helpful, Owen?
Yeah. Can you follow me?
Go ahead, go tell them. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah, sure. I will follow you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Grace. And let's hear from Aaliyah. You have a question?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, you're unmuted. Talk. Hi, Grace.
Hi, Grace. My name is Aaliyah Ellison Michelle, and I got a question. What is your favorite artist? Your artist of music.
Okay.
But no. I do like Bruno Mars. I do love Lionel Richie. And then I do love Justin Timberlake.
Could you hear that?
Yes. What's mine is J-Lo, Selena Gomez, Taylor Swift, and Bruno Mars, and Justin Timberlake, Usher, Nelly, and someone else. I'm a music person, but I know all my music in it. But one of my favorites is Ariana Grande and Mary J. Blige.
Thank you, Aaliyah. Sounds like you and Grace have some similar music taste, which is awesome. So I want to be mindful of the time. I know it's 6:33, but we have, it looks like Denise and Amy and Emmett have questions. Linda and Grace, would you be able to take 2 more questions? Okay, awesome. So Emmett and Amy.
Grace, well, what is your favorite song?
Did they hear it?
Oh, you're muted, Grace.
Okay, so go ahead.
Like Uptown Funk.
So what's your favorite song?
She said Uptown Funk.
Okay.
Uptown Funk.
So you like the song?
Bye, you know.
Thank you. Thanks, Emmett. Good question. And our last question is from Denise and Mary Ellen.
Yeah, sure.
I have a question for Grace.
We have all the questions for you.
I know. Yeah.
She's got beautiful teeth. What is your favorite movie?
Oh, your favorite movie?
Oh, my favorite movie is I know, Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
I know, no.
Wow.
Okay.
Hurry up.
Awesome. Thank you.
I love Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday is a good one too.
Did you ever have braces?
Oh, no.
Oh, are you serious?
No.
Did you hear the question? Did you ever have braces?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
No, yes.
Oh, yes.
She had them for
Like 3 days.
yeah, for about 8 years. Long time.
I'm going to follow you on my Instagram, Grace.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Denise. All
We
right.
love new followers.
Everyone should follow Grace on Instagram. So here we've put some information if you want to keep up with all the amazing things that Grace is doing. And I know there are so many questions we could ask Grace. There's so much to know about all the incredible work that she does, but I want to respect everyone's time. So thank you so much, Grace and Linda. This was a huge honor. We are so privileged to have welcomed you to speak with our community tonight. I know we all learned so much from you. I know we're all so inspired and moved by your story. So thank you from the entire GiGi's NYC community. And we hope to continue working together and involving you with our community. So thank you again. And thank you to all the wonderful participants and families who tuned in tonight. And we hope to see you at more programming soon. So have a great night, everyone. And thanks again, Linda.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you.
I put her name as the last.
Grace and Linda.
Nice meeting you all.
Nice meeting you.
Strobel. Strobel.
That's my mom.